Hi everyone, welcome to what might be my 10th recording of this video. In this brief explainer video, I just want to tell you what Gilbert's notion of standing to demand is and where it comes from. As I've said in my previous video, Gilbert argues that where citizens jointly commit to upholding a Hartian rule of recognition for a legal system, that joint commitment provides members the standing to demand of other jointly committed citizens that legal rules be followed, including legal human rights. Given I argue for an account of the authority of citizens to intervene against their oppression by a state and by state officials, I'll now say a little bit about what it is to acquire that standing to intervene. On Gilbert's view, members of a joint commitment have two kinds of rights against each other. First are performance rights, that others perform their end of the commitment. Second are ancillary rights, and these are roughly that others act in ways that are generally conducive to the success of the commitment. Members will additionally have performance and ancillary duties of their own in virtue of their commitment. This means that the performance and ancillary rights and duties work together in an interdependent way to create the commitment of joint commitment. Where such a legal system exists, that is the legal system that we've been discussing, the joint commitment of citizens to upholding the rule of recognition anchors the authority of the legal system itself. And the authority of the legal system grounds the authority of legal human rights. So this is to use Epstein's terminology. In a society where human rights are protected under the law through the adoption of human rights treaties or through legislation, members of such commitment thus will have demand rights against state officials, both by way of those officials' membership in the population-wide commitment itself, and given those officials institutional performance duties to carry out and enforce legal rules. In virtue of each member's performance demand rights against other members and their performance duties to other members of the commitment, participants in a joint commitment will have at least a standing to intervene, but they'll also have a duty to intervene against other members of the commitment where they are frustrating the success of the commitment or its object. One standing to intervene will be the case just the same when we agree to move a couch together on a Saturday evening, including the standing to rebuke someone for not following through, for instance, as it will be if we jointly commit to a more complex content, like a rule of recognition. Gilbert's plural subject account of joint activity can ostensibly scale to model large political societies, despite the impersonal, geographically distributed, and sometimes hierarchical character of these groups. To do so means that we take along with us the same kind of set of performance and ancillary duties and obligations that comes along with smaller commitments. Larger political societies will model joint commitment in the same way that those smaller dyads even would, and doing so would only require that members of a political society meet the same four criteria for the formation of a joint commitment as would the smaller groups. There are four criteria. First is that each member must have a conception of joint commitment itself, so what it is to be committed as a plural subject. Second, each member needs to have a conception of what constitutes membership within that political society, so what it would be to join together in a group. Third, each member needs to demonstrate their readiness to commit. And fourth, there must be population common knowledge of each of those 3 points. At first blush, meeting those four criteria seems very demanding at the scale of political societies, but I want to argue that it's not so. And you might be especially worried about each member demonstrating readiness and also there being population common knowledge. Those are what I'm going to press on. Given the distributed and highly impersonal character of political societies, I'm going to focus on Gilbert's argument in favor of the possibility of achieving population common knowledge of members' readiness to commit. and then suggest that expressions of readiness can be tacit. After that, I'm going to argue that given a notion of tacit expressions of readiness to commit, tacit expressions of readiness are quite common, and as a result, are perceived to be quite common, such that population common knowledge is achieved in societies like the political society. But that'll be in the next video.